Hello everybody, my name is Erik Teren Mullins, and today we're going to be checking out... Gene! That's not the way that... Scott Summers from X-Men 97's one-on-one Visor by Marvel Legends. This is what the front of the box looks like, the sides of the box, the top and the bottom of the box, the back of the box. Once you open it up, you can see that everything's well protected inside. We got this little foldable page of instructions. Then it comes with this little accessory that we see here that actually keeps the earpieces pushed outwards, a replacement nose piece depending on the shaping of your face. And this that you can actually push behind the visor area if you're going to have it on display and you don't want to have to see everything that's going on behind the visor. As you can see, I'm currently wearing it with a hat on. It's not really that easy, not particularly comfortable for any other hat that I have, but for this one in particular, it kind of rides a little bit shorter, so it works, but really just barely. It sticks to the side of your head with this stickier type of rubber that I have going on around my ears. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it works, pulls your hair a little bit. I'm more curious about long-term cosplaying while wearing this. Is the fact that you're going to start sweating and you're moving around in a very high, densely populated area going to cause issues with this sticky rubber? And will it just slide off because of the sweat and then just blow up all over the convention hall floor? I seriously hope not. Now let's get into the in-depth review. The shaping is so gorgeous, and all the references that I was looking for 97, it's so much thinner and square in its design. This is comic book thick, and to a lesser extent, the original X-Men cartoon back in the 90s. From a distance, everything looks really pretty, but when you start to get really up close, you can kind of see some of the line and flash work from the molding process. Seriously, I'm surprised it wasn't cleaned up down at the bottom near the visor. We get 3 little points of where they cut off the flash, and I'm just like, Gene! This should have been much better done, but again, while you're wearing it at a convention and even on your display, it's not something that's too apparent. The lovely earpiece designs look great from the outside. On the left is where you're going to install 2 AA batteries. This is a major pet peeve of mine. You actually have to unclip the first layer of plastic that's here to get into a second layer that you unscrew for the batteries. I like when you have to use a screwdriver to get to the battery placing because usually this will imply that it's just more solid and it's not going to just snap on you. A clippy thing like this, very reminiscent of the 90s, and I'm fairly certain that most of you out there that have any kind of 90 toys that uses this clippy knows that it's gonna break. Plastic's not the most solid thing. It doesn't really survive a lot of the test of time in that regard, just gets more and more fragile. And this one is so stiff. I'm scared every time I have to remove it that it's just going to snap and break on me. Why would they have this and have the batteries screwed in afterwards? Like, what a waste. Gene. Maybe a little hinge, or perhaps along the inside we could have unscrewed some piece here and then put the batteries in. I would have preferred that 100-fold over what we have here. Gene. Batteries are not included because as a collector, the last thing you want to do is purchase these visors 10 years from now. They leaked and destroyed the visor. On the inside of the earpiece, you can see that more rubbery type of plastic. We got this nice little design. As everything slowly goes towards the front of the visor, we get all this cool robot plating and line art everywhere. The nose piece in the center is easily swappable. You just plug and play. While we also get a little bit of spring action on the outsides in order to fit many heads. But I wouldn't say all of them, depending on how big your head is. I mean, I guess maybe you could get it to fit most heads. It's just gonna be... I don't know. I feel like if you have a head that's really big, you're gonna struggle with this, and if you have a head that's too small, you're gonna struggle with this. Gene. Once you put all the pieces in and have it out for display, it looks pretty nice, though personally, I think we should have had something that goes underneath the goggles, kind of like this piece here. So maybe I could put it that way. Has a cool little X-Men logo. Now it looks like it's standing up nicely. Having it facing down is okay. It's just it would have been... You know what? This isn't so bad. It feels like your actual glasses that would be laying around. This, however, is something I really don't like. Trying to cram this piece in here, it's very tight, and I'm worried that I'm either going to snap this or break something here while doing it. So, not using that. If you like this video just a little bit, it doesn't cost much to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. This way you'll be notified of my future videos. Now we're going to go into a POV so that you can feel what it's like to wear Scott Summers' visor. Right off the bat, you lose a lot of your peripheral vision from the top to bottom. This is expected. It's a single line visor. While the lights are off, you can see things very clearly, of course, with a red filter over everything. However, when you turn the lights on, things are a little tricky. But if there's a lot of lighting lighting and the space that you're in, you're still going to see things relatively well. The real issue is if you're in any kind of place where the lighting isn't the best, at that point it's really difficult to see because the light is right in front of you as opposed to actually shooting outwards like a flashlight, so you don't see anything. And this isn't some cool night vision goggle effect. When you're wearing this and the lights are completely turned off, you see completely nothing but red. However, what's really fun is while wearing the goggles and the lights are completely on, you don't see the person's eyes so clearly. I think that is just so cool. The lights have a couple of effects where when you tap the button once, you get this flash, kind of an effect for shooting out as optic blasts, and it's always going to look the same. There's no variety. When you end up double tapping the button, you end up getting a more narrow light glow. And you can do this a couple of times where it'll cycle back to being the full one. Why did Marvel Legends not incorporate the fact that when you go to the most narrowest, smallest amount of light, that a double tap once more would just shut off your visor? I'll never know. They should have absolutely done this, and I'm kind of annoyed that the only way to turn this off is just to wait an entire minute and it'll shut itself off. 1 minute is kind of short and at the same time way too long when you just want it off. Because as I mentioned earlier, while the light is on, you can't see things as well. So if you're in a certain situation at a convention where you need it turned off, but you had just turned it on, well, you're going to be waiting a full minute. I guess they just really wanted to make you feel what it's like to be Scott, and now he has to go through the experience of having these optic blasts in his entire life. He doesn't get to turn them off. So for 1 minute, you're forced to sit there and endure that pain and suffering that he does, being thankful that it's just a minute and not your entire life. Gene. Just displaying this next to a couple of figures really looks good. You could always have Rogue up there, and even Gene looks terrific. So I feel like this is a solid win for most of us Cyclops fans out there. I currently have two things that I can kind of compare it to. The first one being this third-party pair of sunglasses. These aren't amazing, but they were absolutely perfect for most of my cosplay purposes throughout the years. They were also, above all, very comfortable. So at that point, do you go for comfort or do you go for something that's more accurate? And when I say accurate, I guess it depends on the kind of Cyclops you want to go as. Because some Cyclopses have a smaller visor, and if you got like a nice piece that can cover your entire head except for the bottom jaw, you could always cut holes in it and then slide it through so that just the visor comes out. Though if you're just going to wear them like regular glasses, you are going to end up with this whole earpiece, and that looks less good. Of course, these are inspired and maybe recast from the original visors that they came out with many years ago, and that would be these Sideshow collectible ones. This blueprint thing that comes in the box is so freaking cool. And I also love how it comes with this beautiful place where you can put it in so it doesn't get damaged. Though the Cyclops from the film is, not really my favorite. Gene. I'm super picky. What can I say? I grew up reading the comics and I really like the old original X-Men cartoon. So, I mean, even with X-Men 97, I only like Cyclops in that show. I'm just not a huge fan of that series either. But I'm not going to get into that today. And I used to use these all the time for my cosplaying when I wanted to dress up as Cyclops, but specifically the version from the cartoon Wolverine and the X-Men, who was awesome. Upon its release... Okay. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. Its release date is slated for roughly the 1st of September 2026. I'm very aware that I'm currently releasing this review at the beginning of July. I was tabling at a convention over the weekend, selling my comic manga like I usually do, and all of a sudden, while walking to my table, I saw at one of the vendors' stalls, they had this. I just, my brain just blew up. I didn't get it. I'm even now stuttering. I'm just like, okay. And I remember seeing it just thinking, is that even real? Is it a knockoff? I've seen that some people have been getting it early here and there, but for the most part, it's supposed to be coming out by and large in September. When I asked the vendor how he got this, he just gave me a weird look and said, don't ask questions. We just got it early. Do you want it or not? And I was like, Gene. Yeah, like, almost more than anything in my life. With that aside, the price point that it was going at was roughly about 70 USD to 100 depending on where you got it, where you pre-ordered this thing, and how quickly it sold out in certain places. I'd originally pre-ordered mine on Amazon, and I had to cancel it once I got home because it turns out that this was all legit. Do I think it's worth that price? For me, yeah. I'm a huge Cyclops fan, and I think that it's constructed decently. I probably would have changed this a bit, made it something similar to glasses and a little more comfortable. Even if it came out a little bit on the ends, I wouldn't care. I want something that's solid on my face while I'm wearing it at a convention. But it's just so cool, and it's awesome to see Cyclops get a little bit of love. It's usually Wolverine this and Wolverine that. I'm just really happy that for once I kind of get something for me, for you, and all the other Scott Summers fans out there. And that about sums up my review. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down in the comment section below. And are you getting these? If so, is Cyclops your favorite X-Men character? What about Marvel character? Because even within the X-Men, he's not my favorite, but he's close to it. I just really like Hello, Emma. I feel like Cyclops and I have very similar tastes in things. Hard work, loyalty, and discipline. Jean! Hello, Emma. And maybe a little Psylocke too?